okay, I want to get your opinion here. We dropped the story yesterday about what happened at Boise
Uh,
High School. And look, there's a lot of folks out there that keep denying that these things are happening. And I don't want to so much harp on the boy that did what he did in the bathroom because he clearly needs some help. And look, there were probably boys 25 years ago that were doing what he did in the boys' bathroom, right? I mean, you know, prepubescent and boys going through puberty will do some strange things that are completely inappropriate. But that's life, right? And we have to deal with those when they come along. What I'm really focused on here is the fact that the school seems to not only enable this sort of behavior, but completely insensitively kind of ignore the damage that it's being done to these innocent girls.
it seems like there's definitely an inverted sense of morality in that they've decided that certain people are victims no matter what the situation. And somebody who's identifying as a different gender is obviously a victim of something. And therefore, anything they do, they can't be the oppressor. They can't be the perpetrator of anything. They're the victim. And it, uh, it creates, like you said, these really absurd and pretty awful situations where people who really are victims, who are really being terrorized or threatened in some way, or even physically harmed, are considered well, you're not the victim here. It's I mean, there was a story. It's going around Twitter, and it's not related to this, but in a track meet, some girls were running, and one of them hit the girl ahead of her with a baton, and then went on the news and said, "Well, I'm really the victim here. Have you thought about my mental, situation right here?" And that really seems to be this pathology that's gone through our entire society, schools and politics and media, corporations. That have you thought about the feelings of the person who committed this act?
Yeah, and you know where I place that blame? I place that blame on George Lucas and the prequels to Star Wars, because he decided we really want to find out why Darth Vader's so evil. Why is Darth Vader such a bad guy? Like sometimes there's just bad guys in the world, and we don't have to like go back and like make excuses as to why they're being a bad guy. You know, and with respect to that runner, and with respect to these boys that are doing what they're doing in these bathrooms, and I mean, God forbid he could have accosted a girl. I mean, that's
Mhm.
one level away from accosting somebody.
Sure.
Like, you do feel bad for them. I do feel bad for somebody who's so angry that you would assault somebody like that. Like, I do want to find help for you, but at the same time, I'm not certainly not going to create programs that enable it. I'm certainly not. You're
Mhm.
going to get punished. You should be punished and shamed. I think shame is one of the forgotten things that we do as a society. Instead, we're shaming real victims, and keeping them from stepping forward. I mean, Brian, I don't know how many people have reached out to you or you've heard, but so many people will reach out and say this is what's going on, but I can't say anything because I'll be shamed.
Mhm.
And it's so sad.
Well, you see I mean, I guess in this case, Europe is maybe a little bit ahead of us, where some immigrant will assault or do horrific things to someone, and that victim will then be punished for either carrying something in self-defense, a knife or pepper spray, or using a racial slur, or allegedly using a racial slur while under attack, and they'll get more punishment than the actual assailant. Is that where we want to go? Is that what we're teaching our children, that the proper order of society is in our schools?
Yeah, I don't know, but we definitely. I mean, it really comes down to our values. It really comes down to that, and we really need to focus. I talked at the top of the show about the men in our society and how they need to step up, and we need to see more of that. We cannot put all this stuff on our women. And when I think about, even in a military sense, all these women that, can you imagine sending a woman to the front lines to fight, and you're up there, if you're in the military, and you're like, how can men do that? How can men do that? I just don't understand it. And it's not that I'm trying to discredit, a woman's like desire to fight, or their desire to participate and defend their country, or do whatever they want, to do these things. But at the very least, there should be men standing shoulder to shoulder. And we're just not seeing that today. We're just not seeing that today. And we need to see
Well,
more of it. So that's my challenge to you guys out there.
maybe the
Um,
tide is turning, because you had to remember confirmation hearings for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, where he has said that. He says, why are we sending women to the front lines in combat? And
Mm.
all those, there was a lot of female senators who were getting very angry with him. But the fact that he's there, he's saying that other people are starting to say, maybe the tide's turning, but we need to continue to push it back in the correct direction, to accept reality instead of trying to impose this fantasy that, you can switch your gender, that men and women are physically exactly the same, that all of those other things.
Yeah. No, we need to embrace what God made us, and we will then we will flourish. Then we will flourish. Just watch it. Trust me, folks. Embrace what God gave you and let it flourish.